All right, welcome to episode 55 of the Talking Shit podcast. I am Dr. Evil Genius. And wow, it's been a little while since I've been able to show up on the podcast. As you guys may or may not know, the Rona got me. For whatever reason, I was able to escape infection for a long time, almost 3 years. And I decided to go to a sporting event, an indoor sporting event. And I thought about masking up. And then I was like, nah, I haven't gotten it to this point. My luck has been good. My luck won't run out. Psych! Nope. The Rona got me, y'all. And it definitely it did a number on me. Wow, it really sucked. So, I don't know, what you guys believe about, the pandemic or whatever, but for a long time, I took a lot of precautions and they worked. And then when I stopped taking as many precautions, I got caught. And the experience I had was not pleasant by any stretch of the imagination. So it was a painful experience. You don't really think about the process of recycling fluids until you get an infection that causes such extreme pain in the throat. I'm glad I'm on the other side of that shit, yo. I'm so glad that I'm on the other side of this. But yeah, there's a lot of crazy shit going on in the news. I think Mrs. Evil sent me an article about a wow, I'm not even signed into my Discord on my computer. God damn it, man. Sorry, fam. I'm struggle streaming early. I have to log into my Discord so that I can actually actually get into my account. Because she sent me an article. She sent me an article that kind of brought down my my mood a little bit. There was a case of someone in the United States military that was illegally pulled over, harassed, and then assaulted by officers who really didn't have a reason to be pulling him over to begin with. And he ended up suing. And that case was adjudicated. So I do want to bring that up before we get off the stream today. But I do want to kind of go over this ridiculous story out of the state of Tennessee. Sonny, what's up? It's good, man. It's good. I'm happy to see your eyeballs back in your head. Yeah, it's good. It's good to be human again. Let me tell you. But yeah, I want to go into this this story. This story is so. I mean, the only thing that I can do is just give you this right here. Okay, let's get into this. Tennessee cops, including married female officer, fired after repeated wild romps. I'm just going to call them romps. A small Tennessee police station has been rocked by allegations of wild misconduct of this nature here, after a married female officer allegedly had steamy romps with 6 male officers, including illicit on-duty liaisons, according to reports. I mean, they really went all out with, I mean, that was just so dramatic the way that they, it's almost like whoever was trying to write this article read like one too many of those novels that the ladies like. What are they called? Those romance novels? That's what that sounded like. Officer Megan Hall and her fellow law officers allegedly engaged in wild sexcapades that included sending dirty pictures. I mean, that's not really a big deal unless you're married. Taking her top off at a Girls Gone Wild hot tub party. I mean, isn't that what you're supposed to do at those types of parties? I think that she was in the right place for that. And even given that sloppy toppy with 2 officers at the police station. Okay. And I knew that it had to be the size. Because if you look at if you look at the size of this woman and you look at the size of the guys that she was slobbing off, oh my God. At work, y'all. At work. Where is the professionalism? But she's bragging about the size of the manhood. And that was her bragging helped bring down the system by which she was Community Officer of the Year in 2022. Now, I'm not one to argue with that characterization. I think that she earned that award fair and square. 2 other officers who allegedly had romps with Hall kept their jobs but wound up suspended. Perhaps they didn't meet the size requirement for termination. She wasn't, doesn't look like she was bragging about these particular guys here. So this is Megan Hall here. And now, I've talked to some people and they're like, she's a hard 3. And I'm going to disagree with the rating that most people given her for 2 reasons. Number 1, she's petite. She's in good physical shape. And number 2, this is the state of Tennessee. A small precinct in a small town, which tells me that she was the hottest woman on the squad, possibly because she was the only woman on the squad. So I get that some guys are like, she ain't all that. When you're in an environment where there's only one woman there, and I've seen this, I've been in workplaces where women that left a lot to be desired from a physical attractiveness standpoint, guys were all on their shit. And you stand and you look and you're like, how is this possible? Well, you go into a male-dominated field with no kind of competition from other women, and you're literally the hottest woman in the area. Okay. Now, I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with the way she looks. It's just, if you had other options, you probably would choose other options. The extracurricular tryst took place at hotels, at parties, at other officers' houses, on a boat. And she was given head, that good sloppy toppy, in the police gym and in the station. So she was definitely using her head. Um, I just can't believe what I'm reading. But you know, we do live in a time where you know, women are empowered. You know, I should be able to do with my body whatever I want to do with it, and nobody's supposed to ever say anything about it. No criticism or anything, right? Um, but hold on a second. We've got uh, oh, shit. We got a little bit of spam on Twitch. I need to get some Twitch mods up in there ASAP. One moment, y'all. Shit. Hold on. Wow, Twitch is acting really slow today. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. Anyway, officials began to look into the swinging personal lives of the amorous officers when Laverne Mayor Jason Cole received a tip. She definitely received more than the tip. Just saying. Yeah, she definitely received more than the tip. But the mayor received the tip that Hall was sleeping with several fellow officers and had a three-way with one of the officers and his wife. When asked about the tip, Magliocco said that he gave her a lot more than the tip. They both got community service awards in 2021. I'm going to say that she earned it. She definitely serviced the community at the Laverne Police Department. He told investigators that Hall had told him about another officer's man meat and claimed that she had performed a sex act on him while the pair were on the clock. He said that he had seen Hall and another officer kiss while watching football at a party, and said Hall kissed his own wife, Amy, after learning they had an open marriage. So, you know, you already know because she was sending pictures of herself and other people, which is part of what brought down the system that was there. So here's the thing, right? And this is where I want you guys to like mental health and self-esteem, y'all. The officer said that Hall's husband saw the kiss and told officials the cuck really wasn't on board with his wife having a threesome with them, but she continued to have a relationship with him, meaning with the other officer. So this guy is like, listen, I really would like you to stop dealing with them with these extracurricular activities, but I'm not going to do anything about it, apparently. This is one of the officers that she was given that good toppy to in the precinct. Apparently, his meat was large enough for him to be terminated. When questioned, Powell later denied that he had a sexual encounter with Hall, but said everybody knows she has multiple partners. And then he started, you know, flipping. Damn, these cops be snitching on each other. Not when they kill people, not when they kill unarmed people. They don't snitch on each other then. But, you know, let, you know, a chick be willing you know, you know, to suck it on up like a fucking Hoover. And they telling on each other easy and still getting fired. After being caught lying about being at the gym with Hall, Powell admitted to the tryst during a follow-up interview. That's probably why he was fired, for lying. Powell was then involved in a domestic disturbance with his wife, who he told investigators beat the shit out of me, adding that he would, quote, would most likely lose his children, end quote, after the spurned woman learned of the affair. Now, it's really crazy how these guys, I mean, how many of you guys would be turning, even if the woman's head is shaped like a jelly belly, how many of you guys are turning that down, married or not? All right. So this guy's about to have his whole world turned out upside down because he was getting slurped up in the precinct gym. And wait till you see how the woman who was servicing the entire department, we're going to see how her situation ended up. What a mess this whole situation is. I bet these people were still arresting people and on their high horse knowing damn well what deviancy were. Well, they're able to compartmentalize while these persons were breaking the law and we're over here having consensual sex between adults. Right? So it's very easy to compartmentalize and say, what we're doing is not really wrong, even though Powell was married himself. And, you know, I'm not surprised that his wife would turn to domestic violence because, as we know, only men are perpetrators of DV. Only men and only women are victims. And this is over the fact that, you know, he was just getting slurped up on the job. Okay. Hopefully not by the K9. Okay. Holiday admitted under questioning to having sex with Hall multiple times. And McGowan revealed he once went to Hall's house with another female and exposed his genitals. Oh my God. After initially denying having sexual relationships with Powell and Magliocco, Hall later copped to the affairs, also admitted to having sex with Lugo at a motel after they met at a go-kart center, a charge that Lugo initially denied before caving under second interrogation. Under questioning, Shields said, I have never had sex with Megan Hall, until admitting she had performed oral sex on him while on duty when pressed. So I'm talking about he pulled that straight out of the Bill Clinton handbook, y'all. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember President Bill Clinton turning the Oval Office into the Oral Office. But his quote was almost verbatim. I have never had sex with that woman. They're able to compartmentalize as they are not the ones judging behavior and acts professionally. That's up to the law and the judge jury. Yeah. So, you know, their thing is like, listen, you know, I have to enforce the law. You know, we'll charge them and then we'll let the district attorney and the jury and the judge handle it after that. But, you know, I didn't force her to do anything. I was not her superior officer, although she says that I have superior genitals. I didn't smash her. She just tripped, fell, and landed on my pecker, face first. And it kind of got jammed in there, and it was hard to separate, to get my abnormally large member out of her throat. So as I kept trying to pull it out of her throat, it just felt so good that I released, and then only after release was I able to get small enough to get out of her throat. I wasn't there, but I imagine that that's how that went. Okay. You know what I'm saying? obviously she really loved. I mean, look at the love in her eyes. She just came from the Precinct gym before she took this picture. And she liked that fried chicken. Yeah, you could definitely tell that from the photo. Magliocco also noted that he had become concerned about Hall's mental health and heavy drinking and driving. Why is nobody talking about this? The people that are supposed to be pulling you over, and I got to go back to David Banner's comment on this one. Got to go back here. Right? I mean, the fuck? And she's pointing a gun at her own head and pulling the trigger. So he's concerned about the mental health, yes. So he keeps serving up, the meat with the wife. I mean, they are red-blooded men, after all, red-blooded American men. You get an opportunity to get with two women. Not many men are turning that down. But why had she not been pulled off the force when she is drinking and driving? Why is she not pulled off the force and made to talk to a mental health professional when she is physically expressing suicidal ideation on the job? But we draw the line at her swallowing throat babies. At one point during the party, an intoxicated Hall was reportedly being force-fed vodka, at which her top came off. And other officers stopped the former officer from drinking and helped her cover up to protect her. You don't really want to be loosening up while you're behind the wheel of a police cruiser or any car for that matter. That's why? And this is a weird thing about our society. Drinking and driving on the job. Suicidal ideation expressed to other officers. She's got all these problems, but it doesn't make it to the mayor's office until there are nuts being busted. And here's the thing. There is nothing to suggest that she was targeted by the officers whatsoever. Because as men, we have grown up to have these inherent biases against men. This woman offered herself to these men on a regular basis. On a regular basis. She was drawing other people. She was drawing other people into it. Well, drunk officers that can't aim for shit tend to hit bystanders. So Lugo, Powell, and Shields were dismissed for violating police procedure and lying during the investigation. Holiday, Magliocco, and Gavin Strobel were suspended in connection with the probe. So, obviously, friend of the show, Darshawn McAway. How are you doing today? Darshawn McAway is an accomplished author and entrepreneur. So shout out to this man right here. Right? But here's the thing, again, we talked about her drinking and driving. We talked about her pulling the trigger on an unloaded weapon pointed at her own head. trying to get other people's husbands and wives involved, right? She was the driving force in all of this. But our bias against men automatically has us thinking she was targeted. But this is also a thing where we moralize sex to such a degree. And I'm not going to argue with you guys as far as whether or not you think that some ethical standards were breached here. I have no problem with that argument because I understand the world that we live in. But she was obviously for the squad. And we're finding a way to blame the men that she targeted. Like, she was offering herself, sending nude photos, all of that. You know, she was the driving force. She was the driving force in all of that. Okay. And, you know, but the thing is, again, Dave, this is our inherent bias against men, where this is going to be the first question that we asked, right? Obviously, you can go into her past and you can start asking questions about what happened during her childhood or you know, in her teenage years or what have you. But at what point do we say, you know what? You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
She just belongs to the streets. At what point do we just say, hey, you know what I'm saying? She was just giving it up. So if we're going to talk about how men act in these situations, I just have to go into this, because I mean, she's getting smashed on boats. Her top is falling off at parties in front of kids. She's slobbing knobs in the precinct on the job. And this is how the husband responds. Husband of Tennessee cop gone wild Megan Hall stands by his wife and tries to salvage their marriage after she was fired for having romps with 6 colleagues, as she shrugs off the scandal and says, it's time to move on. The TLDR, Megan Hall, age 26, was fired after probe found she engaged in sexual relationships with multiple officers. Now, remember, these are only the officers that we know about. Hall claimed she was in an open marriage and tried to recruit her sheriff's deputy's husband for 4 years for swinging sessions. And he was like, nah, son, and I would really like for you to stop swallowing Jimmy Dean on the job. Just please stop. Please stop cheating on me. Guys, this is not how to handle a situation like this. Okay? This is not how to handle this, guys. If she belongs to the squad, you got to let her go. And in this particular situation, Jedediah, which should, just his name alone should tell you, he was already in trouble. Don't be this man. I get that some people have very strong religious viewpoints that govern their morals. I get it. But if you don't have children, which they don't, I just don't understand. I don't understand how this can be your reaction. She shrugs it off and says, I don't want to discuss it. I'm just going to move on and live my life. She doesn't believe that she did anything wrong whatsoever. She believes that, she was just having some fun and it's over. She's probably just going to go find some others. To get involved with. So this is her after she had been fired. She doesn't have a single care in the world. And this is one of the things that men today are very wary of when they go into the dating market and they think that they have found somebody that they can get married to, risk losing half of their assets or more in a divorce, risk losing any children that could come from the union, right? They think they found themselves a wholesome person. Well, she let the streets hit her, Jimmy Dean. And the thing is, our marriage and fertility rates in our country have been dropping to dangerous levels, and stories like this really don't help, right? We can this is the state of Tennessee, Jimmy Dean. There are other married officers involved in this. One of them actually was in a non-monogamous relationship, but she was not in a real non-monogamous relationship. And one of the black officers obviously was a victim of domestic violence stemming from this scandal. So you got multiple families destroyed by the lack of discipline on both the male and female officers involved in this. But she's blown up multiple families and she doesn't have a fucking care in the world. Look at her fucking face, y'all. Look at her fucking face. She don't give a fuck. She don't give a fuck, y'all. She's like, yo, I'm just gonna find some other some other hung black guys. We're just gonna find some others to get involved with. And there's your boy Jedediah. Okay. And the thing is, man, too many of you guys out there have this mentality that the chick that Jimmy Dean, wow. I'm going to take a risk and I'm going to put this up on the screen because Jimmy Dean's a savage. But too many of you guys think that the one chick that you are able to get is the only chick that you'll ever be able to get. And you have to understand that there are more women in our country than men. And in most countries around the world, there are more women than men. Right? This guy is going all out for a chick that has zero respect because she claimed that she had that she was in an open marriage, but he is confronting her about cheating. Confronting. And you know who's going to pay for her slobbing up the whole precinct? Any person that this officer pulls over, Mr. Jedediah, This guy right here, this Jedediah guy, right? Any person that pulls that this sheriff's deputy pulls over is going to get the brunt of what this woman did to his soul. And is that fair? She looks like a chipmunk ran through by Chippendale's Rescue Rangers. Yeah, she's like 94 pounds soaking wet. Goodness gracious. DailyMail.com can reveal big-hearted Jedediah. And this is what, and this is, and this really irritates the shit out of me, folks. Let me ask you guys something. If a woman has found that her husband was smashing 6 of his female coworkers, and she stayed with him, do you think any of these news agencies will be calling her big-hearted for sticking with her husband who's smashing all of his coworkers? Do you think they would frame it that way? I mean, look at how they categorize. Look at how they categorize. The pair have been sweethearts. No, she does not give a fuck about this man. She has no respect for this man whatsoever. What are you talking about? Jedediah's boss is like, yo, he's a better man than me. No, he's not. He's a fucking simp. Call it what it is. We have a society that is very comfortable with men that don't have boundaries and have low self-esteem. Oh, that is up until they do something drastic, like go to work and shoot an unarmed civilian, or go into a grocery store, or a movie theater, or a school, or a church, or a synagogue, or a mosque, and start taking other people's lives. Only then are men with no boundaries and no self-esteem. Now it's a problem. Now men's mental health. But when this guy has his wife giving up the goods to anybody who will take it, he's big-hearted. Oh my God. It annoys the shit out of me. It annoys the shit out of me. And David Banner, you ask a really good question. I don't blame her for not respecting her husband. Would you? I don't blame you for asking the question. To answer your question, partially yes, partially no. Partially yes, because the only thing that she had to do was divorce him and then go out and spread her vajayjay and her throat to the whole police station as much as she wants, off the clock. You don't need to be married to give that up to all of the state of Tennessee. Plenty of guys are going to accept it in whatever condition that's being offered. But, and an addendum to that, we're doing way too much in the way of teaching young boys that girls are sugar and spice and everything nice. They never lie. They never harm anybody. They're always nice to everybody. They're always the victim. and that you, by virtue of being born with a penis, you are the perpetrator. You're the bad guy. And with all of this indoctrination, I mean, David Banner is about as level as they come. But even his first question was, they must have done something to her. They must have targeted her or preyed upon her in some way, because we are all imbued with this bias against men where we're always looking to put the onus and the responsibility and the criminality and the unethical behavior. We're always looking to see how it can be blamed on the men. Women are just as fucked up as anybody else. The lead attorney put it, he says, you know what? One of the things that he loves to impress upon men is this particular principle. Women aren't special. If you're a woman watching this, you are not special, because you are a human being. Just as men are human beings, we're all human. And we're all susceptible to doing fucked up things in different ways at any given time. We're all capable of doing something fucked up, women included. And sometimes we just have to lay the responsibility where it lies. Nobody took her cookies from her. Nobody sent their unborn children to her throat daycare without her consent. She was adult enough and seen to be competent enough to enforce the laws in their town. But she consents to sex with half the precinct. And no, there's no way that she could have been responsible for that. Now, we got to give her the responsibility. And if you see the way that she's handled, she's like, yo, I don't care. She's going to go out there and suck some more dick, y'all. She don't give a fuck. She don't give a fuck. She don't give a fuck. And the fact that his boss has to highlight the fact that he is the victim, that's a fucking problem. That's a fucking problem. So yeah, she was giving it up to the biggest men she could find in the precinct. You like how they put the two black guys here, right? Like, they want you to know that tiny woman that you see up here. And yeah, she's little. Okay? They want her neck is well, maybe her neck got stretched out. Let me stop. Probably added some height with these two guys here. But they wanted you to know she was giving it up to these niggas right here. They want you to know that straight out the gate. And then, she gave it up to some other guys or whatever. But no fucks given, y'all. No fucks given. And the thing is, she probably is loving all the attention. And in the chat, I want you guys to tell me, what do you think is the likelihood that she's going to end up on the hub? Any of you guys or girls in the chat think that she's going to end up on the hub? Let me know that in the chat. She's probably still smashing Magliocco and his wife. She's probably still doing that. Dreaming of becoming an actress. Yep, she knows what to do. Good point. Good point. And the thing is, she'll make mad money. Now, this is very, very interesting. I had a discussion with a client this morning, and we're going to get into this other story in a bit. But and if Mrs. Evil can send that link to the article that was sent to me earlier, I would really, really appreciate it. You know, the story that I'm going to bring up later, these officers were involved in some wrongdoing and sued for it. And at least one of the officers in the incident was terminated. And one of the things that my client said is they'll be rehired very quickly, because when you hear about excessive force being used, plenty of police departments love that. Oh, you're using excessive force? We want you on our force. Absolutely. And here's the thing. And the simplistics makes a really good point here, y'all. The husband seems like he'd be okay with it too. You have to understand that you teach people how to treat you. If somebody is doing something that crosses a boundary, and you don't raise effective objection, you're in effect saying that you're okay with it. People will only do to you what you allow them to. And the article is very clear. He confronted her about cheating. Okay? Okay? He confronted her about it. So he's obviously not good with it. But it's not like he's doing a whole hell of a lot to stop it. Seditionalists, for people who are more secular, this would make sense. But apparently, he has very strong religious views against divorce. Even though her cheating is more than grounds for termination of that marriage, even within the religion. Sorry, I scrolled down a little bit too far. But I got to tell you, people, you cannot you just can't. You can't accept stuff like this, because not only do human beings tend to be habitual line steppers, but often, and I hate to put it in such cold terms, but this is the home of the cold truth and a hot take. Women are always going to try their boundaries with you as men. A, to see what they can get away with, and B, to see what kind of frame that you'll hold. Women, by and large, most women will try you. And the moment that, the moment that she finds out that you've got no spine, I mean, your marriage is already over. Your marriage is already over. I mean, she was trying to get, I'm pretty sure that they had a sexual relationship, Jimmy Dean, because she was trying to get him to join in with other women and apparently other men. She wanted him to get involved with one of the women, the wife of Magliocco. And he said no, he didn't want to get involved. in that. And it's crazy. These people that were fired represented 12% of the manpower. So, you know, I just think that you guys have to understand you guys have to understand that you cannot you can't take disrespect. You can't take disrespect even once, because once you accept disrespect from a woman, there's nowhere to go but down. There's nowhere to go but down. You know, I know that in a lot of relationships, we make a lot about love. Oh, you know, does he love the woman? Does the woman love the man? Et cetera, et cetera. I understand that these things are to a lot of guys, but and people in general. But respect is definitely more important. Respect is more important than love. And a lot of you don't, if you don't have respect, you don't have shit. All right. I'm trying to get this video prep for you guys here. All right. Yeah, we're getting a little laggy here. Apologize for the lag. Trying to get this video
involving Corona Nazario getting millions of views and highlighting fears of mistreatment among black drivers. ABC Elwyn with more. Elwyn, good morning.
Hey, good morning. The camera's capturing that tense traffic stop from 3 different angles. The officer's body cameras and the soldier's cell phone. Now that lieutenant is taking them to court, claiming the officer violated.
Now.
What's going on?
What's going on? You're fixing to ride the lightning, son.
This morning, the Virginia traffic stop that drew nationwide attention.
You're fixing to ride the lightning.
One day away from trial.
He's relaxed.
Second Lieutenant Karan Nazario filed a civil federal lawsuit against officers for this 2020 incident.
Why am I being treated like this?
When 2 police officers were shown drawing their guns and pepper spraying him after he did not exit the vehicle.
I didn't do anything. Whoa, hold on. What's going on? Hold on.
Police say they pulled him over for not having a visible rear license plate. Here, he had a temporary one taped to the back of his SUV. Nazario's suit says he was assaulted, falsely imprisoned, and had his car illegally searched.
I'm honestly...
Yeah.
Vehicle. Once announced back in 2021 that they fired Joe Garrett, one of the officers involved, for not following department performance of his duties as a law enforcement officer. And Nazario was not charged in that incident. In the police report, one of the officers wrote that the lieutenant was eluding police because he didn't stop right away. Nazario stating that he wanted to pull off in a well-lit area. Of course, all of this will play out in a courtroom on Monday. Janae?
We will see what happens.
All right. So,
to an Army lieutenant's federal lawsuit over a.
I just wanted to kind of, yeah, I'm having some. It seems like things are a little bit laggy right now, so please bear with me. You can hear in his voice how much he wanted to tase him. You see, he didn't go there to make sure that the whatever jurisdiction that he was supposedly policing in, it wasn't about the safety of those people. He found a target and he was ready to ride. You fixing to ride the lightning. So let's get into this. So many members, excuse me, many members of law enforcement and the military were dismayed at what happened in this situation. And many people, like I said, including law enforcement officers, had a huge problem with the way that this was handled by the officers. And you see here you see this here. Army officer pepper sprayed by police gets $3,685 after suing for $1 million. Yeah. A black officer in uniform who was pepper sprayed in his car by Virginia police officers during the traffic stop has been awarded less than $4,000 in a $1 million lawsuit against the two officers. The jury awarded Second Lieutenant Caron Nazario a total of $3,685 in a lawsuit against Windsor, Virginia police officers Joe Gutierrez and Daniel Crocker. The officers face 4 counts: assault, battery, false imprisonment, and illegal search. So how is it a federal lawsuit? Well, perhaps part of the lawsuit was based upon the fact that they violated his Fourth Amendment rights. Right? And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this up. David Banner nails it right on the head. This is how civilians are deterred from going against the system. And no one could say, well, I want to see what happened before the cameras turned on. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You were saying? The dude made himself, the less threatening that he made himself, the more aggressive they got towards him. I guess that's how they thank they thank him for the service. Gutierrez was ordered to pay $2,685 in damages, no malice, when it was clear in his voice. Okay? It was clear in his voice that there was malice aforethought. Crocker was liable for an illegal search without malice. He was ordered to pay $1,000 in damages and cleared of all other charges. Nazario's lawyer, Tom Roberts, said it was a, quote, sad day, end quote, and that the verdicts failed to send the message to other police officers that this conduct is unacceptable. Going back to this comment from Mr. Banner right here. Do you guys think that Joe Gutierrez was able to get a job at another police precinct? I'm going to bet on yes. If I was a cop, I would rather a man pull into a gas station than approaching a dark SUV in the middle of the night on the side of the road. But this particular officer, and I cannot say with certainty what was in his heart, but it really does seem like he wanted to pull him over in a dark area to have a reason to pull out a service weapon. That's what it seems like to me. Judging by his actions, when the dude did everything, not only to ensure his own safety, but also to try to project a safe environment for the officers. Because that was part of the reasons why he took the actions that he did, including making sure that his hands were visible outside the vehicle, right? He didn't try to stop and then start the car and then, go on a high-speed chase or anything like that. My hands are out of the vehicle. I'm asking what I'm being pulled over for, which department policy says you have to state the reason why they're being pulled over. But the dude was on so much of a power trip. ... It's open season on citizens in Virginia and across the country. And the reason why Mr. Roberts would say something like this is because this was a federal civil lawsuit. Citizens will not rest assured that scenes like this are not repeated with impunity. The officers pulled over Nazario on the eve of December 5, 2020. Body camera footage shows Gutierrez pepper spraying Nazario when he would not get out of the car. One of the officers wrote in a police report that Nazario eluded police because he didn't stop right away. Nazario stated he wanted to pull over in a well-lit area. Honestly, I'm afraid to get out. And instead of trying to diffuse the situation, which is the job of the police officer in every situation, their job is to cause the least amount of damage, to have the least amount of escalation. They're supposed to do de-escalation tactics. No, he decided, I'm going to escalate this situation. Yeah, you should be. No, I'm supposed to be able to rely on you to protect my safety. I should not be afraid of you. Police said they pulled him over for not having a visible rear license plate, but in the footage, a temporary license plate can be seen in the rear window of Nazario's then new SUV, and he was not charged. So the only thing that they had to do when they got out of their car, for the reason that they stopped them, was look in the fucking back window. That's all they had to do. And their reason for probable cause would have been over. Which is why he wasn't charged. That all could have been avoided. That all could have been avoided if they were paying attention instead of, oh, look, we got one. That profession is not supposed to be a gotcha profession. That's for investigative journalism, journalists. That's when you want to, gotcha. That's their job. You want to make sure that everybody is safe on the road, that people are not driving around stolen vehicles. The only thing that you had to do as you approach the vehicle is say, oh, shit, there goes the temporary tag. Let's run that number and make sure that the car isn't stolen or the license plate isn't fake. And then upon finding out that, it's a new vehicle for purchase, you can send them on their way and keep it moving. No, he had the need to escalate the situation. So, I woke up to this story and seeing that they were found partially liable. And the thing is, I remember when there was this one particular officer, I think his name was Slager. Officer Slager in South Carolina shot an unarmed 50-year-old black man in the back. And the reason why is because he stopped him because he had unpaid child support. And the man was fearful for his life and tried to run, and the officer shot him 4 times in his back. So what the officer did was they looked around to see if there were any witnesses. They did not see that there was one witness, a 16-year-old young Latino boy with a cell phone camera on the other side of the street, but he didn't spot him. So what the officer did was he unholstered his taser and then threw it next to the dying man's body, and then called in that the man grabbed his taser, and that's why he had to shoot him 4 times in the back at a range of about 15 to 20 feet. There was one woman on the jury that hung the jury because she could never put in a guilty verdict against a police officer under any circumstances. And she was an older woman, I think above the age of 70. She hung the jury by herself because it was very obvious through all the evidence that he murdered that man. But she hung the jury simply because she just could not convict a police officer. And when you look at this particular story, where they gave $3,685 on a $1 million lawsuit, you're going to get a bunch of people that are like, I don't care if it's obvious. I don't care if there's video evidence. I don't care. Police are always right. Anybody they pulled over is an automatic criminal. Nope. And then you're seeing another example of this. And it just is not a deterrent for police officers because Gutierrez is probably in another police precinct right now being celebrated. It's messed up. Yeah, and the thing is, most cops are good cops. I'm one of these people. I think that most cops are good cops individually. But if you're supposedly a good cop and you don't stand against wrongdoings by your coworkers, it makes it very difficult for me to see you as a good cop. Finally, there is one story that I want to cover from one of you viewers. One of you viewers provided this story, and I thought that it was really important to it was just one story that I have to cover for today. If I can find it. Here we go. I'm going to share this with you guys because it's a little bit more of like a PSA type of deal here. I think my entire computer is lagging, so I'm probably going to restart my computer after all of it. I do want to try to get this video out here for you guys and share this with you. So bear with me here. The reason why I'm bringing the story to you is because any one of you can be susceptible. A lot of times when we think about people who are addicted to heroin or fentanyl or what have you, we think of them as junkies that are losers in life, and that's the end of it. but plenty of people in this country have been fucked over by really greedy doctors taking kickbacks from the pharmaceutical industry, and then they get hung up on painkillers. And then by the time the addiction has taken hold, it's already a wrap for you. Your body is now making the decisions. So I don't know if any of you have friends or family who have been, I don't know if any of you know anyone who is suffering, but this comes from the, I believe it's the Gravitas YouTube channel, if I'm not mistaken. Or the WION YouTube channel, right? I want you guys to take a look at this video. This is really important, all right?
Kind of ripping up, talking about in the country, polarization, and opioid epidemic in the United States is only getting worse. And at the heart of this horror story lies an animal tranquilizer. It is called xylazine. It is drugs, even lead to limb amputation, and it is leaving law enforcement agencies puzzled. First things first, what is xylazine? The animal tranquilizer is known by street names like Tranq, a zombie drug. It came into being in 1962. In beings, the drug led to the respiratory depression and low blood pressure issues. So the trials were stopped. It then started to substance. It can lead to amputation. It can knock you out for hours, so it can leave the users vulnerable for long periods of time. Let me now tell you what's happening in Philadelphia. More than 90% of the lab-tested dope samples there were positive for xylazine, more than 90%. And this problem is not just limited to Philadelphia. This is happening in drug hot zones across the country. A study published in June detected xylazine in the drug supply in 36 states and the District of Columbia. In New York City, xylazine has been found in 25% of the drug samples. The zombie drug is causing horror across America. And how exactly? The animal sedative is being mixed with fentanyl. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid. It was originally developed as a painkiller for surgery. It has a specific chemical structure with multiple areas that can be modified, and it is being used to bulk up supplies of illicit fentanyl, worsening its impact. Basically, the dangerous sedative is infiltrating drug supply, being found in substances like, and this highlights the drug supply has really become. In fact, in November, the US Food and Drug Administration warned the healthcare professionals about the drug, and this is what complicates the matters. It does not show up in routine toxicology screens and can be difficult to distinguish it from opioid use. And since it's not an opioid, xylazine may not respond to a standard treatment for opioid overdoses. It's also becoming equally prevalent in overdose deaths.
So, you know, the things I want you to take away from this is, number one, it's a fucking horse tranquilizer for veterinarian use only. Number two, I think the thing that scares me the most about this, this xylazine is really bad because not only are they cutting the heroin and the fentanyl with it to increase the dependency on it, xylazine does not work the same way as regular opiates do. So it's causing a habit forming or addiction. The addictive properties of it are not the same as you would see with regular heroin or fentanyl. You know, they don't work on the opioid receptors in your body. So if you have two really addictive forces working in two completely different ways, and then the physical damage that they do is just as bad, but completely different. Now that Narcan is something that's becoming more widely available to save people from overdosing and dying from whatever opioid, now that they're cutting the fentanyl and the heroin with this stuff, you may give them the Narcan and they could still die. You can give them the Narcan and then discover, well, you can't really do much to help them because now they got all these other health problems, especially since that particular chemical compound is a flesh eater. And again, it goes back to what we were told as when we were kids. Whenever you get anything from someone, off the street, you don't know what's in it. You don't know if they cut it with something. You don't know if they added something to it. You just don't know. So if you or anyone you know is struggling with an addiction to painkillers, definitely, definitely give them this warning. And then yeah, like that scares the shit out of me. Imagine if I go to the hospital, I've got some shit in my system, and they can't tell what it is, so they don't know how to treat me. And a Narcan doesn't help in this particular instance. So this is just something that this was something that Blind Bat brought to my attention today, and I wanted to make sure that we covered it on today's show. We covered a couple of stories today. Again, guys, you cannot accept any amount of disrespect from a woman, because once you do, you're never getting it back. You're never getting it back. If you find that your wife is at work getting hit from the back, or she's on her back at work and getting ran through by her coworkers, it's over. It's been over, actually. It's a wrap. Get out of there. Because if anything drastic happens, society is going to blame you, and it's going to factor in when you go to trial. They're not going to care that, she was, getting plugged up airtight. They're not going to care that she was acting like she was on the casting couch. They're not going to care. They're going to blame you. There's no reason to raise your voice at a woman. There's no reason to raise your hand to a woman unless she raises her hand to you first. Get the fuck out of there. And obviously, the other lesson, which is a very difficult lesson, is that even if you do all the right things when dealing with a police officer, is not a guarantee that things are going to turn out in your favor. Still, if you want to mitigate the chances that something bad happens to you at a traffic stop, or for whatever reason you're accosted by a police officer, as safely as you can, comply with all reasonable commands. But even then, it may not be enough. And even then, you may not get a jury that really cares whether or not you were in the right in that situation. So it's pretty messed up. And you already know this is the home of the hot takes and the cold truth. So, thank you very much for joining me for today's show. We will be back here either tomorrow, but definitely will be here next Wednesday. Please hit the like button on the way out. I really would appreciate it. We're trying to grow in the algorithm here, bring more content to you. What else? Oh, yeah. Join the Discord, because that would be nice if you join the Discord. Somebody in the comments will give you the link to that. If you are watching somewhere that is not on YouTube, youtube.com/@TALKINSHIT. You can follow us on social media at TALKIN_SH_T, please. If you have any stories that you would like us to cover, Talking Shit Podcast LLC @gmail.com. I'm always on my phone checking my email. So you will be able to find, I will be able to find your emails very easily. And if there's something that you want us to cover, we will cover it. And again, I really do appreciate every single one of you. I think we do have Filthy Casual this Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. Join us for that. We may also have a live we might have a live podcast for you tomorrow as well. So I'm going to be getting those stories together. Thank you for sticking by the platform and helping us grow it. And until the next time, see you later.